so I can get to Alderman Ray Lopez. Now, initially, when I teed up Ray for a conversation tonight, I wanted to talk about, well, what else do you talk about in Chicago? Oh, the tax increases that his friendly alderman has suggested. I think something like 16 of them. What else do you talk about? You talk about crime, so we're going to talk about crime with him. And I want to talk about the Ed Burke conviction. Well, now, knowing that, Ray is a Democrat, I want to say, well, what's your party going to do about Biden? You have a Biden problem. And now everybody knows it. You cannot hide it. By the way, everybody knew it before. It's just that there's been a lot of liars out there in the media covering for Joe Biden. Well, that was all uncovered on Thursday night's debate. Now, what was the worst moment of Joe Biden's debate? Well, this, to me, was the worst moment.
When he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world.
That's embarrassing. That's a complete and total lie. And it's, Gold Star families were infuriated that Biden failed to acknowledge the 13 people that died in the Afghanistan withdrawal at his hand in the chaotic mess that he created and his generals, and nobody was fired over it. Nobody. And then he completely just forgets about him. How about the three folks who were the three service members that were killed in Jordan not that long ago either? He just forgets about them. I mean, this was a huge problem during the debate, and it's still a huge problem now. It's obvious, so obvious that Joe Biden has no idea what he's doing. So the question is not really, what are the Democrats going to do to replace him in the race? The question is, when are they going to get him the hell out of office? This guy should not even be in the presidency at this moment. After what he just said in that small little clip, complete disregard for the service members that have died under his watch. Would anybody trust him with the nuclear codes? Should anybody trust him to potentially order our men and women in uniform into a war zone? Oh, yeah, there's still plenty of time for that to happen under his watch. Plenty of time. And he's not competent. And everybody knows. And now the White House staffers are finally leaking out that look, the guy only operates, to some degree between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And they're whispering about it. But they knew all along. And so did every Democrat. So did the media. And they just covered for Joe Biden. It's absolutely despicable. Absolutely despicable. Now, the other despicable person in this whole roundup, and this is going to take about a minute, but I'm going to play it, is Michael Morell. He's the former deputy CIA director under Obama, who was the organizer of the spook letter that basically said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. Ratcliffe on Bartiromo this morning lays out exactly what should happen to Morell and the others.
Regardless of how all of this plays out, all of those former officials and current officials that were involved in orchestrating this should be irrevocably and permanently stripped of any security clearances or affiliation with the intelligence community. Look, Maria, that we have what's called a debarment list where we put companies and individuals that defraud the government on a list and say, you're a bad actor, you can't be affiliated or do business with the government anymore. That needs to take place with these officials so this kind of political interference can't occur anymore. And I just think this whole sordid affair really lays open the political rot that still takes place within our institutions like the CIA, just as Devin and I experienced with the FBI and the Department of Justice with the first interference in 2016 with the Russia collusion hoax. The same thing happened with the intelligence community here in 2020 with this Hunter Biden laptop lie.
Okay, so he's right. People like Michael Morell should have no security clearance anymore. They should be stripped from any position in the government. And I know for a fact Michael Morell is still acting as senior fellows when it comes to intelligence information, and he's doing it on the government dime. He needs to go. He needs to go. He and all the rest of them. This is treasonous, actually, what they did. Okay, I have a lot more to talk about that, but before I can get to it, I need to take a break, and we're going to start right up with Alderman Ray Lopez.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka is confused.
I'm so puzzled, as you, I am sure, also are, by the fact that we've been told for 3.5 years that there is no crisis at the border. Everything's fine. But now you have to have a national address saying that asylum seekers must come here legally.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention, hut! Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists, modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I've been watching it on TV, and then my soul has my husband, and I guess he just called up and surprised me. He had ordered it, and I didn't expect it for me to notice it so right away. I kind of shocked my husband when I told him. I've been taking it like a little over a week. I'm taking it, and then I can already notice a difference. I do feel very good. I can't even put it into words. I feel really good every day. I don't wake up grouchy. I love everybody to think it. I think it's wonderful.
Splash into your summer with Balance of Nature's summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first set. Don't miss out. This offer is only available while supplies last. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code Chicago.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
We now return to the real story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. And on the line with me right now is Alderman Ray Lopez. He's the alderman in Chicago for the 15th Ward. He was first elected in 2012. He's been an outspoken critic of progressive Democrat policies and has frequently appeared on Fox News as a common sense Democrat. Most recently, he opposed the Gaza ceasefire resolution presented to the Chicago City Council, saying that we can talk about a ceasefire when the hostages are returned. Sounds like common sense to me. He also supports abolishing the city's sanctuary status. He joins me tonight to discuss the Ed Burke sentencing, the new tax proposals, and crime. But first, I can't help but ask him, what does he think the Democrats should do about Biden? Ray, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Teeny, happy Sunday to you and to your listeners. You know, I think the Democratic Party on the national level has a serious problem with their president, our president, Joe Biden, as the candidate. Clearly, he is having some issues. He's having some decline that we don't want to recognize or talk about. And I've heard it from a number of hosts who said that if you feel that Donald Trump is the threat to democracy that you're going to make in the campaign, you need to have a stronger candidate who can articulate that and match Donald Trump word for word, wit for wit, on the debate stage, in front of the voters and on the street. And I don't think Joe Biden has it in him to do that.
No, it was very sad, and quite frankly, I mean, it's a little frightening.
Painful.
He has an awesome and big job. I mean, it's you have to be up to doing that job, and so I got to tell you, Ray, I feel like somebody's been pulling the strings for a while now, though.
Well, I think that much is clear, and I think that when you are the chief executive of the most powerful country in the world, we want to know that you're the one in charge, not some conspiracy shadow government in the background looming, not Joe Biden, not the team of the co-governance team that's there. I want to know that Joe Biden is commander-in-chief, not just sitting in the chair. And I think that we see that, yes, he may have the background on a lot of the policy, but do I feel that 100% confident, especially after the debate performance, that he's the one in charge? No, I do not. I think that what we have is a situation like we saw with Woodrow Wilson, where he had a stroke that incapacitated him in his term. And rather than go through what the Constitution allows for succession, the First Lady picked up the mantle and ran with it. Unlike then, we live in a 24-hour news cycle where you have video everywhere, you have social media everywhere, constantly showing who's really pulling the strings. And I think that the other partner that is complicit in all of this is the standard mainstream media, which has not wanted to push this button, ask those questions, and have helped cover this up for some time. And I would almost be willing to venture that they chose CNN on purpose so that they could have a friendly audience and response team on hand to help brace the Democratic public for the switch that's going to happen inevitably come the Democratic National Convention.
Well, you know, I sit on the other side of the aisle, and so, I mean, we're going to disagree probably about the general election, but let's be honest here. The Democrats did themselves no favor by letting it get this far down the road. So, I mean, we're looking now at Chicago. 2024 could be a very historic election, or DNC.
Well, something's going to have to happen from now until August. Because as you know, in order for Joe Biden to get on all of the state's ballots, the Democratic Party had to do a Zoom convention where all the delegates already voted. So really the convention in Chicago was just going to be like a formality, a big party, you know, originally as planned. But I think you're right. Now, if Joe Biden were to say before the convention that he's not going to be in the race and releases his delegates to vote according to whomever they want, you're going to see one of those bare-knuckle brawls to become the next presidential nominee for the Democratic Party here in the city of Chicago.
So it's funny because we could be going right back into the 1800s where you've had bare-knuckle brawls and, like, you know, third and fifth ballots to determine who the nominee is going to be. This is not unusual. It's only unusual in modern-day politics.
Yes, I don't think any one particular candidate has a lock on it. I think everyone's going to be angling. I know that, you know, this has kind of been in the political calculus for our governor, J.B. Pritzker, who basically fronted the cash to pay for the DNC being here. I'm sure he wanted a home court advantage so that should something happen, you know, that he could step right in. But we know Gavin Newsom is working hard to try and, you know, impress like some air of inevitability from the California state. But really, I think you need some moderate Democrats to kind of stand in the middle and remind people of what our values are, and not the extreme partisan values that seem to be espoused by so many in some of these deep blue states who don't have any check to their reins.
Well, you heard it from here. You heard it first here. If J.B. Pritzker gets a nomination and somebody's got to take over the governorship, it should be somebody like you, Ray. All right. Okay, but let's turn to Ed Burke. He's amassed a great deal of power as the longest serving member of the city council and the head of the finance committee. He had many people write letters to the court attesting to his good works and asking for leniency. What do you say about all that?
You know, there are many people who've had many issues with the 2-year, $2 million sentence that was issued by the judge. Some believe compassion is warranted, that he didn't deserve to die in jail. Others believe he should have been sent to Alcatraz. You know, I get it. People have all kinds of emotions, particularly when it comes to Ed Burke. But what I find particularly egregious, Jeannie, is the fact that regardless of the sentencing of Ed, the fact of the matter remains that we still allow outside employment of Chicago aldermen, and that was what the center of this case was about, a sitting alderman trying to steer business to his side job. 5 years ago, I introduced an ordinance to end the outside employment of aldermen, to make a Chicago alderman be a full-time job that they only do. They get paid well enough for it. They should focus on it. And city council still has not been able to muster the political will to put an end to outside employment, which is just going to continue to provide opportunities for this type of activity in the future. If sentences are supposed to dissuade people from engaging in activities, why do we still keep the door open to allow for that kind of temptation on the books right now? I think it's shameful that city council refuses to take this up. I think for as many progressives that claim to be about good government on city council, none of them want to reform city council or city hall. And it's a missed opportunity that will only allow for someone else down the road to do the exact same thing. And we'll be discussing when the 11th alderman goes to jail next.
Well, certainly when you're the third largest city like Chicago is, there's a myriad of businesses that touch your regulatory control. And so it'd be very, very difficult to say, well, these businesses you can do, these businesses you can't. So even if you were to say, like, you take the most egregious ones, like you can't do property tax work, that would make sense, right? You can't be a lobbyist. Well, that makes sense too, right? There's some things that where obviously you should not be involved in, but again, it would be that would be a narrow window, needle to thread in what could and could not be. Like I always like to say, you know what? You can write the strongest ethics law. It really just matters that the person that you elected is ethical, and that's really 100%. The bottom line there.
100%. And actually, one of my 15th Ward predecessors went to jail, Virgil Jones, in Operation Silver Shovel. And when I first ran for office, I asked him, why do so many aldermen wind up going to jail or committing crimes or being involved in corruption? And he actually gave me a very simple truth. He said, because they all think they're smarter than the last one that went to jail.
Yeah, well, you know what? If it wouldn't be because of the Cook County prosecutor, but it's because the federal prosecutors are the ones putting our corrupt politicians in jail. So at least we have that going for us. Okay, let's move on a little bit. So apparently we are once again, we've got your fellow alderpersons requesting a number of new taxes, apparently even up to 16 different proposals, according to Chicago Alderman William Hall. I mean, he wants a congestion tax, a monthly wireless tax plan, a city sticker, a vacant lot tax, a gaming tax. I mean, it goes on and on. I don't think that he missed a single tax in this laundry list of taxes. Oh, here's a good one. He wants to tax big rigs moving through residential neighborhoods. Oh, okay. Wow. I mean, it's just incredible. Is that the answer? Does Chicago need more taxes? Is that going to solve what ails it?
Well, we missed the breathing tax and the per toilet paper slice tax that also didn't make the cut, but I'm sure they're coming in round two. But no, I mean, that's not the answer. You know, we have as much a spending problem as we have a revenue problem. But the first is the first thing that we can control, spending. And we have seen since my time in office, when my first budget was $8 billion for the city of Chicago. We are now at $16 billion for Chicago's budget. And that's separate from the Board of Education's $10 billion that we take from property owners. We need to do a complete forensic audit, top to bottom, of our budget, find out what we're spending, where it's going, how it's being used, what are the service outcomes that we're providing, and seeing how we can make that more efficient before we ask for more money. Additionally, the other thing that we have to remember is when we talk about immigration, that's been a hot topic under this administration. We talk about how you fund the asylum seekers. And don't forget that the mayor announced that, we have an annual surplus of money unspent of about $1 billion a year in our budget, which means all the money that city council allocates, our departments are not spending fully. They're, leaving $1 billion on the table every year, which the mayor and mayors before him put off to the side and uses their own little hidden slush fund. But that tells me that you are asking $1 billion more from taxpayers than you need.
Yep.
Close that gap.
Well,
Start there.
Well, I mean, especially when it comes to property taxes. I mean, there's been Pappas is out there saying, look, you can expect about a 20% rise in your property tax bill in Cook County, and the south suburbs are getting demolished.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I think Dixmoor is 122% increase in their property taxes. They're getting crucified. It's awful.
And I think that's on the low end, because I think most of those increases have been closer to 300% increase, 3 times what they were last cycle for their assessments.
Well, let's look at immigration really quickly. Apparently, there's going to be additional taxpayer-supported shelters that are set to serve migrants. And is your ward going to be subject to one of these shelters?
No, my ward, thankfully, is not in the shelter business anymore. We had Gage Park. We closed Gage Park.
I thought that was the case. Yep.
But my understanding now that we have a shelter going up at one of an old hotel on the southwest side near Ford City Mall, if your listeners are familiar, by 73rd and Cicero, about 2 miles south of Midway Airport, courtesy of the state of Illinois. And I think this also goes back to our presidential problem. We can't pretend like this has gone away. We can't keep allowing the federal government to walk away from its responsibility, its duty, and address this issue. If you want to have granted them asylum and give them respite while they wait for their case, fine. Then the federal government needs to step up and foot this bill, or start adjudicating these claims and determining whether or not people have grounds for asylum and deport those that don't. It's really simple, and it saves us a lot of money. But yet that's not the politics of my party right now, and especially with recent Supreme Court decisions that say you can no longer separate families. What's going to happen to these migrant asylum seekers, who in waiting for 8 years for their case to be heard, start having children?
Right.
They will be by default granted immunity to stay here because the Supreme Court has already ruled that.
Yep.
And I'm as much for having people come to this country that want to add to the positive fabric of our society. I believe you need immigrants to be able to come here. But until the front door is fixed, we shouldn't pride ourselves on propping open the back door and hiding behind all of these technicalities to do what we know we should be doing right now.
No, because you also have a crime problem. Look, the cartels run the drug trade in Chicago. Everybody knows it. You have 50 supposedly ISIS terrorists that have come across, the cartels siphoned across somewhere loose in America. They don't know where they are. I mean, where do you think they're going to go? They're coming to major metropolitan cities to do as much damage as they possibly can. And we've got a crime problem.
They are in Chicago. They're in my ward because we have Venezuelan gangs now fighting with Chicago's homegrown Mexican gangs. It's only going to get exponentially worse the more desperate they get and the more opportunity that we give them by turning a blind eye to the truth of the nature.
Okay, we've got to leave it right there. This is Ray Lopez, Alderman, 5th Ward. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Hey, take care.
Mike Gallagher sees another game from the White House.
Biden pulling an executive order out of his you-know-what is one of the most comical examples of political pandering I've ever seen in my life. Biden insisted, I can't close the border. I don't have the authority to do that. Evidently, when the polls show you're going to lose, suddenly you can find a way.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fox
News, I'm Ann Carrick. All U.S. military bases in Europe now are on heightened alert due to a potential terrorist attack. While many worry about President Biden's abilities, speculation about Trump's VP pick continues.
The reported top contenders include Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, and Senators Marco Rubio of Florida and Tim Scott of South Carolina. They have been out in full force showing support for Donald Trump in plenty of TV interviews.
Fox's Christina Coleman. The U.S. Supreme Court's expected to decide on presidential immunity. Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio and CB's Face the Nation.
In the same way that police officers, judges, prosecutors enjoy some immunity, that principle has to apply to the president, too.
Democrats say no president, in office or not, is above the law.
Fox's Gernal Scott reporting. America is listening to Fox News.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your 1904p $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to every radio show over the last 10 years, all commercial free. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Our communities deserve to have their tax dollars spent efficiently. All over Chicagoland, there is an increased need for vital projects like wetland improvements, enhancing water quality, or stormwater mitigation to protect homes against devastating floods. Too often, public officials find themselves at the mercy of outside advisors when planning, budgeting, and building these projects. And let's face it, they rarely meet deadlines or budgets, leaving our communities vulnerable. There's a better way forward. Control Point Engineering. At Control Point Engineering, we're more than just civil engineers. We're champions of quality and efficiency with over 40 years of hands-on experience. Teaming up with Earthworks Land Development, we're breaking down barriers and streamlining processes. Say goodbye to disjointed partnerships and hello to seamless collaboration. From conceptualization to construction, Control Point Engineering delivers everything you need in one unified package, saving you time and money. Visit ControlPointLLC.com today to learn about our successful projects all across Chicagoland. Again, that's ControlPointLLC.com.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Protecting and growing your retirement assets can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Mark Kohler, host of Retirement and Income Radio, heard Sundays at 11 a.m., helps retirees in or near retirement protect their accounts from market volatility. Mark can help you create lifetime guaranteed, inflation-hedged income. Call Mark today at 844-619-SAFE. That's 844-619-7233. And listen this Sunday at 11 a.m. to Retirement and Income Radio.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. It is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, and you can call in if you got a question or you want to make a comment. 312-642-5600 is the number here. We are airing this program out of Elk Grove Village near Chicago in Illinois. And why is that important? Well, because you know what? Chicago and Illinois are both known to have problems with their election integrity. Oh, is anybody shocked by that? No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's shocked by that. You shouldn't be. But you know what? A lot of people don't really pay attention to Illinois. They think we're just such a blue state. Why should we be worried about election integrity? There's other, fields that are more important for at least the RNC to go ahead and make sure that they secure the vote. So here to talk to me about securing the vote in the 2024 election is Christina Bobb. She's an attorney for Donald Trump, and she's the head of the Republican National Committee's Election Integrity Unit. Now, Christina, I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you. I was looking for your bio, and up popped the article saying that you were also charged in the Arizona 2020 election issues. And now that's great with me because I had John Eastman on my radio show too. I mean, I'm with you on the 2020. I ran in 2020 for Congress here in Illinois, and we've done our own election integrity stuff. And in fact, my organization, Breakthrough Ideas, is part of a Judicial Watch lawsuit suing Illinois over not having cleaned up the voter rolls. So I applaud you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yes, I love Judicial Watch. I saw that you were working with them. I'm grateful. Thank you. They do such great work. I love that organization. Yeah, I definitely, I've been charged on 9 felony counts. My attorney and I just filed a motion, an anti-slap motion. I think it was Thursday or Friday, just last week. I'm hoping, I think we've got a good shot at being able to get out of the indictment based on the fact that this is a political persecution, not a legitimate criminal inquiry. But we'll see. That'll be taken up. It's going to, at the very least, take a few more months to get through it all. But yeah, it all goes to election integrity, right? Because they're pulling out all the stops to try to take us out however they can and use whatever means they can.
Well, and I just got contacted by, a guy who kind of pays attention to the stuff that we put out and the things that we've written about. And, he's somebody who I thought, well, his issue is going to be taxes or it's going to be cultural or something like that. But no, he's like, you know what? I'm concerned about this election being fair.
Yeah.
What do I do to get involved? Where do I go to? Who should I listen to? What should I read?
Yeah, I think that's great. The biggest thing we need right now is people to get involved at the local level. I mean, I'm new at the RNC. I joined, when Donald Trump kind of took it over. But the reality is this is going to be a bottom-up cleansing process. It's not going to be a solution that comes from Washington, D.C. It's going to be people in the communities getting involved to clean up their counties and their precincts. And that's how it gets cleaned up. If you want to read something, I wrote a book about the 2020 election. It's called Stealing Your Vote, the inside story of the 2020 election.
Oh, I got to get
2024.
that. Okay.
So, yeah, I can send you a copy. We'll
Stealing Your Vote by Christina Bobb. Okay, everybody go ahead and order that book.
Yeah, and then if you want to get involved, go to either the Illinois GOP or whatever, better yet, whatever county you live in. Go to the county and get involved, because the best way at this point, since we're getting down to the wire, the best way to get involved is to either become a poll watcher, which is a volunteer. You volunteer your time and get shifted when you can, or to become a poll worker, which means you're actually paid. You're basically a seasonal worker for the county. The poll workers are more important. They're the ones that are administering the elections. They're the ones that are making the decisions. So we need a lot of those people, but that all has to go through your county. So go to your county GOP or your state GOP, and they'll help direct you to the right people at your county.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I am on the Illinois State Central Committee, and we have hired somebody specifically for election integrity. That was one of the good things that that we have done. And he's already been able to get hundreds of people off of the Cook County voter roll simply by saying, well, look, we know these guys are dead or moved. We know it, and here's the proof. And so he's been able to badger them into that. But I also say that the precinct committeeman is one of the most important positions for election integrity. They need to look at their precinct ahead of time. I'm also a committeeman, by the way, and they need to make sure that they know that everybody in there on that list is a valid voter, and they have the authority to go to the door, make sure, and then they need to check it after the election to see if any phantom voter happened to show up.
Yep, that's exactly right. Precinct committeeman is so important. There's a grassroots organization that does a great job with recruiting people to fill those positions. It's called precinctstrategy.com. You go there, they can help you figure out how to become a committeeman in your area. You can also go to your county as well, your county GOP or your state GOP. But you know probably better than anybody that this has to be a local solution. It has to be people getting involved. I mean, the reason we got into this mess is because conservatives were focused on running their business and educating their kids and going to church and, just running their lives. They weren't really paying attention to government. And we're at a point now where we can't afford to not pay attention to it. And we've got to clean it up at the local level. I mean, the county level is the most important level. If everybody gets involved across the country to just clean up your county, we'll have a clean-ish election.
So, a lot of folks here, even Republicans, I wouldn't say they've necessarily given up on Illinois, and nobody really, we certainly haven't, but they know where the fight is to win the presidency. And so with Wisconsin so close, with Michigan so close, but really from where we stand, 2/3 of the state in Illinois is, within an hour of the Wisconsin border. What can we do to help Wisconsin when it comes to election integrity? And also, what's the RNC doing specifically? Where are your efforts geared to there?
No, that's a great question. And I have to double check. I don't remember off the top of my head if you have to be a registered voter in Wisconsin to volunteer. I want to say you do. Not every state does. Like Georgia, you don't have to be a registered Georgia voter. You can live outside the state. But I think in Wisconsin and Michigan, you do. So check that, but if you don't, then by all means get involved. If you're legally allowed to in the state, get involved and volunteer and be a part of it. But you can go to protectthevote.com. That's the RNC's website, and that's where you can get information on the target states that they've got right now. Michigan and Wisconsin are both on there. And we've got staff on the ground. We've got a team of volunteers and, a paid team of staff workers there as well to try to help kind of bolster the state party and bolster what they're doing down there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the RNC that's saving it. It's going to be the number of people in the state that get involved because this is a numbers game. This election in particular is a numbers game. And it's not just the number of people that show up to vote. It's the number of people who work the polls. And the 2021 election was a great example of that. And I write about this in my book if you want the details on it. But that was in 2021, Virginia and New Jersey both had gubernatorial races. And they were the only states that had gubernatorial races, and it was 1 year from the 2020 election. Virginia, the Virginia race was right around when the FBI said that they were targeting parents at school board meetings. They called them domestic terrorists. They were pushing transgender issues in the school bathroom. There were girls that got raped in Loudoun County. I don't know if you remember all that, but it all happened right at the same time in Virginia, like months before the election. And so parents were very, very angry. And they showed up in mass to volunteer, to work the polls. I mean, Virginia had an unprecedented number of people show up to work the election. And they had a result on election night, and the Republicans won in Virginia. Now, New Jersey didn't have that same kind of outrageous behavior targeting people in New Jersey, and they had a more typical turnout of workers. And on election night, the Republicans were winning. The Republican challenger to the governor, the Democrat incumbent, was up. And on election night, they said, we have to stop the counting. We think there's more ballots out there. It took them 10 more days to find the rest of the ballots. And wouldn't you know, 10 days later, once the results changed, suddenly they called the election it was literally a repeat of 2020 with the presidential race. So I think it's a really good sampling of the difference. The way we win this is to have a massive amount of people actually work the polls and involved in the process.
That's great advice. Okay, I'm kind of out of time on this segment, but I want to thank you so much for joining me, Christina, Bobb. And again, what is the book that everybody needs to order and read?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's called Stealing Your Vote, The Inside Story of the 2020 Election and What It Means for 2024.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, and we'll be right back after this break, and we're going to take a call from Eduardo when we get back.
Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people, and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pitchers you know? As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die, you know?
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Splash into your summer with our summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first set as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
Well, summer is upon us and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people and you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. ReliefFactor.com, 1-800-4RELIEF, 1-800-473-5433. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Despite overwhelming support from Democrats and Republicans, time is running out for Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act, which will keep AM radio in cars. Text AM to 52886 and ask Congress to bring this bill to a vote now. AM radio is too important to let this moment pass us by.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
We now return to The Real Story. Here's your host, Jeannie Ives.
Well, welcome back. Wow, that was a great interview with Christina, Bobb. Okay, I know you guys want to bash the RNC sometimes. You want to bash the ILGOP, but you know what? This stuff takes a lot of workers at the bottom levels to help work it out. And I can say that because I've been a committeeman for 20 years. I get it. I've worked elections before, too. I've helped with recall elections. Things like, not recall, but when they're scrutinizing an election, like Bob Grogan's. So, I mean, I've seen the process. I know what's going on. And the more eyes on it, the better we're going to do. She's absolutely right. But we're going to turn to Eduardo from Tampa Bay. Eduardo, you're on The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, good evening. I wanted to bring this up. I think this name is going to be very important.
Okay.
So Chandler West is the White House Deputy Director of Photography. And he says that line about him having a cold, the president, is a bunch of bull. They've known this for months, so they have a credibility problem. So we're going to see what happens if you see a presidential address at night. I hope he stays in the race because I think that's very helpful for the former President Trump. But they just can't resist. I mean, they're going to be looking for somebody like Wes Moore, if not in this election, in the next election, because it has to be about race or abortion. That's their wheelhouse. It's nothing else.
Yeah, no, I thank you, Eduardo. You know, I appreciate your call because, you know, the more and more staffers are coming out now saying, you know, before they were whispering behind the back and to each other, and now they're leaking it. They're leaking the information to the media. Oh, just like all the staffers leaked on Trump. But, you know, they've kept this so close to the vest, and now people, you can't hide from it. You can't, no. You cannot hide this malfeasance. And, you know, I have no respect for it. Oh, great. So now you're going to come out west and tell the truth. I don't know. Nobody should respect these people.
No. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that he eventually stays in the race because I think that's going to be helpful for the November election result. Okay, and if he doesn't, who would you like to see replace him? Well, Kamala Harris.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Exactly. I think for sure, yeah. It'll be an easy win.
Yeah. That would be an even easier win, actually. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for your call. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot more that's going to be discussed. Now, I was listening to Ted Cruz's podcast called The Verdict, and he called it apparently back in September of 2023 that Biden was going to be replaced. And he said back then that it's going to be with Michelle Obama. And he doubled down and explained how that's going to be the case again, that Michelle Obama is going to ride to the rescue of the Democrat Party and that she's the only one who would force Kamala to essentially bow out and bow to take that position. Otherwise, the Democrats have a problem with black women and black people more in general as well. And so they're like, no, it's Michelle Obama. That's what Ted Cruz says. And he says that they are going to have to do this within the next 3 weeks, that the decision will be made within the next 3 weeks to replace Joe Biden. Now, I mean, you just heard from Ray Lopez. He's like, yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. So, I mean, actually, I want Joe Biden to stay in too. But I want him to stay in, but honestly, he says that I'm not well enough. I mean, that's what essentially what he's going to be saying, that I am not fit enough to run for the presidency. We just all saw it. He's not fit enough to be president. He's not the one making the decisions. And now Democrats agree that he's not the one making decisions. And his staff is saying that he has shortened hours. And like, I know they got away with it with Woodrow Wilson. I know they got away with it with him. I know to some degree they got away with it with FDR, that, you know, apparently Eleanor Roosevelt did a much lift there too. But at least I believe FDR was still cognizant of his surroundings. But I mean, this is a whole different situation. Joe Biden's got to go, and he's got to go now. And if they don't explain that away, then they don't care about the country. So they got a dual problem. Not just Joe Biden doesn't run, Joe Biden shouldn't be president. Well,
there's a third part of that problem, too.
What was that?
There's a third part of that problem.
What's that, George?
If they do anything other than replacing him at the convention, they get Kamala. By the 25th Amendment, by, you know, whatever other means, you get Kamala Harris. And she is the president at that point. It's very hard not to run your incumbent president who has not hit a term limit, and that's the worst case for them. So,
yeah. So I think personally that they'll probably replace him at the convention, not ahead. But who knows?
Yeah, have to.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Afterwards, we'll take this quick call from Robert in Bloomingdale.
Jeannie, how are you doing today?
Very good.
Good. Now, this is my take on what's going to happen. What I think is going to happen here is we go into they're going to tell by next week or the week after Biden to leave. He's not going to leave they'll contest this thing at the convention, where you're going to get all these ragamuffins from the radical left that want to run, and it's going to eventually be, in my opinion, Gavin Newsom, who's got some pull from Nancy Pelosi, and Elizabeth Warren for a VP candidate who's just as radical as anything. It doesn't matter. Trump will beat him anyway. But the thing is, I think that they can't go with somebody too crazy like Obama's wife, because I think that they're letting the cat out of the bag. Obama's pretty much let the cat out of the – I mean, Biden let the cat out of the bag already, and she's going to make it even worse. What do you think?
Well, Robert, thanks for the call. No, I think that Trump wins regardless if they don't steal it. That's what I think. But they could. They could find the votes. You've got mobile DMV units in Chicago or in Illinois going around signing up people, registering them to vote. All right, we got to take a break, and we'll be back after this.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, halfpriceschools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child, too. Just go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Listen, in the 8 o'clock hour, we've got some good stuff going on. We're going to talk with Steve Goreham. He is, of course, my energy expert. And we're going to talk about, climate change? Oh, record heat wave in Chicago. True or false? Well, Steve's going to solve all that, and we're going to talk more about that. We'll talk about, you've got the DOE now wanting to essentially take land by eminent domain so they can bring clean lines or clean energy in all the way from Wyoming, all the way over to the east. This is just some of the worst type of public policy that you can get. And Biden is all in on that. And Trump is, of course, drill, baby, drill. So it's going to be, that should be a massive policy topic between Republicans and Democrats. It doesn't matter who they replace with Biden. But we'll be right back with more from Steve Goreham in the 8 o'clock hour.
Let me ask you this. Are you not able to enjoy this summer as much as you want because of joint pain? Well, this is the best time for being outdoors, but not if your knees, shoulders, back, or hips are hurting. Hey, it's Amy Jacobson, and don't suffer any longer. Non-surgical joint pain relief is here from our good friends at QC Kinetics. Call them today. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. I'm talking lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Walk, run, hike, play golf, move again pain-free. So stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. They're open on Saturdays, now with new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
This is Chicago's election station, AM 560 The Answer, WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer.
Hey,
Heavy winds and stormy weather for the Caribbean islands. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. Hurricane Beryl, now a Category 4 storm impacting several islands. Fox weather meteorologist Adam Klotz.
This is a major storm we're watching work its way towards the Caribbean as we speak. A Category 4 hurricane, winds at 130 miles an hour, really getting close at this point to the Lesser Antilles. As far as sizes go, when you talk about hurricanes, not a particularly large storm, but if this runs where folks are, it's going to be very dangerous. We're beginning to see those outer edge winds beginning to creep that direction at about 25 miles an hour. These will obviously go way up, so we're really expecting things to deteriorate overnight tonight. And then through the day tomorrow is what we're looking at. This is a very unusual storm. Since 1851, only 2 major hurricanes have passed south of Martinique, and we're setting up for this one to do so.
Hurricane warnings are in effect for Barbados, St. Vincent, and St. Lucia, among other areas in the region. One person is dead in upstate New York's Delaware Valley. The cause, a likely tornado at a campsite west of Albany. Some former presidents coming to the defense of President Biden following his recent performance in CNN's presidential debate against former President Trump. Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports from the White House.
Here's Barack Obama posting, "Bad debate nights happen. Trust me, I know. But this election is still a choice between someone who has fought for ordinary folks his entire life and someone who only cares about himself." And here's former President Bill Clinton, who's younger than Joe Biden. "I'll leave the debate rating to the pundits, but here's what I know. Facts and history matter. Joe Biden has given us 3 years of solid leadership." And it is notable that the Biden campaign said that they have raised over $33 million since the debate on Thursday night.
The president's recent performance causing some Democrats to call for him not to run for re-election, some even suggesting he step down. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Clear and quite comfy tonight with the low down to 56. Then a gorgeous start to the week on Monday. Mostly sunny and beautiful, the high of 76. Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine, breezy and quite a bit warmer. The temperature jumping up to 87. Then Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds with a straight thunderstorm, warm and humid, the high of 87. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Hut, hut. Listen up and listen up good. If you're tired of run-of-the-mill gifts, then get on over to aviatorfuel.com. You'll find unique military-style cocktail books and barware to go with it. At aviatorfuel.com, we've got the perfect gift for any soldier, sailor, Marine, or just red-blooded American. You'll especially love our military cocktail checklists, modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. These award-winning books are authentic replicas, but instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito, written with military jargon throughout. So pick up a cocktail checklist from aviatorfuel.com. Invite some old friends to share war stories over cocktails. Your perfect libation is inside the cocktail checklist. And don't forget matching military-themed barware. Go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
AM 560, The Answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
And welcome back. It is The Real Story with Jeannie Ives on this Sunday night. The phone number here, 312-642-5600, if you want to weigh in on the conversation. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. That is the climate crisis insanity. And we're going to talk about it with one of a great guy who I've known for quite a few years. I had him down when I was a state legislator. I had him down to come in and explain what was going on in terms of renewable energy and the climate crisis and where we are headed with all this. He is an absolute expert on this topic, and he is an Illinoisan, which is even better, right? Because we have a lot of experts on a lot of topics. It's just too bad that they're not always listened to by the politicians. But if they were, they would get the straight story from Steve, and they would be told that story in a very entertaining way because he has got awesome analogies. So Steve Goreham is the executive director of the Climate Science Coalition of America and author of 4 books on energy, climate change, sustainable development, and public policy with over 100,000 copies in print. He's been on a number of shows, and his latest book, though, is Green Breakdown, The Coming Renewable Energy Failure. It came out August 1st of last year. And you know what, Steve, I'm so glad to have you on because, you know, the Sun-Times just had this headline: Chicago's historic heat wave may bring the warmest stretch of nights in 91 years. What you need to know. And then it goes on. The last time Chicago saw a 7-day streak of low temperatures above 70 degrees was 1933, just months after FDR was sworn in as president. And Chicago was hosting its last World's Fair. With scorching weather Sunday and Monday, temperatures in Chicago have reached the 90s 2 days in a row. And the National Weather Service said this heat will stick around for the rest of the week. It's not unusual. Here comes the truth a little bit. It's not unusual to have this type of heat in mid-June, but forecasters say it's unusual to get so many consecutive very hot days and nights. So what do you say? Are we in the middle of like a historic heat wave right now? Or were we?
Hi, Jeannie. Great to join you again. Yeah, it's summertime, so the climatists have to be out talking about how hot it is and how your neighbor's SUV is causing it. But our record in Illinois is 117 Fahrenheit, the all-time state temperature record set in 1954. And so, you know, we get up close to 100. That's really not a big deal. Although, you know, now they're using this heat index all the time because it makes the numbers look higher, the news media.
Well, do they have one of these temperature gauges right in the center of Chicago, which is a heat sink? And are they going to take that temperature right in the middle of the NASCAR race next weekend? Is that how they're measuring the temperature?
Yeah, a great guy by the name of Anthony Watts got a group of volunteers together and went and looked at all of the temperature gauges that NOAA has in the United States, and he found that like 80 or 85% of them did not meet their standards. Temperature gauges are supposed to be away from surfaces that absorb heat, like runways or parking lots or buildings. They're supposed to be out in fields, but more than 80% of them weren't, and so they suffer from a thing called an urban heat island effect. When you put up parking lots and buildings, they tend to warm during the day and they release heat during the night. And so they raise the local temperature, not the global temperature, but the local temperature, and they throw all those thermometers off. So, yeah, even our temperature metrics are really not where they should be.
Yeah, I don't have a science degree, and it just seems like common sense to me.
Well, in some ways it is, but people say, "Wow, this is really hot." I don't remember this in my experience, or they'll say, "We never had a hurricane this big before," but they may be 40 or 50 years old and they don't remember the ones that occurred 80 or 100 years ago, or for example, in the 1930s when we set 23 of the 50 state record high temperatures. Most people weren't here in the 1930s, so it's sort of natural for people to think this seems like extreme weather, or maybe something's happening. And then the news media plays that up, of course, and a lot of other folks that want to change our energy. But it's we are not in abnormally warm times. Our temperatures have been warmer than current times many times over the last 10,000 years and for multi-century periods at a time. So despite what the United Nations and others are saying.
Well, it was really no surprise that this topic came up during the presidential debate. And, Dana Bash asked President Trump, would Trump take any action to end the climate crisis? So the first thing is this built-in supposition that there is a climate crisis. And so you're kind of put on the defense. You have to defend this without telling the moderator that, you're lying. There's not a climate crisis. But, I mean, what about that? I mean, how would you answer that? Are you going to take any action to end the climate crisis? What would be your perfect answer on a debate stage?
Well, my answer would be that there isn't a crisis. This is weather. We've had 1 degree of warming, 1 degree Celsius in 140 years. And that's what you feel between 9 and 10 every morning. I mean, it's not a crisis. And the second thing is that filling the world with electric vehicles or wind turbines is not going to affect global temperatures. They're not going to be a measurable effect. But one thing Mr. Biden said during the debate that was probably true, he said Trump wants to undo all that I've done for climate change. I think he's right on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump last month was in Wisconsin, and he talked about scaling back the Inflation Reduction Act. And I'm going to quote him here. He said, upon taking office, I will impose an immediate moratorium on all new spending grants and giveaways under the Joe Biden mammoth socialist bills, like the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. We're going to save all that money. It's not helping you at all. And it's just amazing how much money is now going to renewables. Under Obama, we were spending about $15 billion a year. Under Trump, that went down a little bit. But next year, the Cato Institute has projected $80 billion in fiscal year 2025 to be shoveled to all these projects like electric vehicle charging stations and carbon dioxide capture, carbon dioxide pipelines, green hydrogen. Most of these things would not exist without all this federal money. But if Mr. Trump gets in, we're going to see dozens of projects canceled and probably a lot of companies that go bankrupt because they've been living on federal money for several years now.
Well, I have a couple in mind that should go bankrupt because we're not just spending federal tax dollar money, we're spending state tax dollar money to do so. But back to but on the topic of electric charging vehicles, I mean, Pritzker just announced to much fanfare with a big press release, I'm spending $25.1 million to put in 643 EV high-speed chargers in 141 locations across Illinois. Well, that works out to $39,000 per charger. Now, I don't know if BP Amoco, if Shell, Casey's, did they get money to put in their gasoline tanks?
I don't think so, and they're now getting federal money too. So they're getting a whole bunch on this, probably $50,000 a charger. But the business case is very poor for chargers. A gasoline pump costs about $20,000 in capital money to put in. You can serve a customer in 6 minutes. A 50 kilowatt high-speed DC charger costs about $100,000, 5 times the capital cost. And you can serve a customer in about 30 minutes. So the gas pump serves 5 times the customers for 1/5 of the cost. The other thing about charging stations is most people want to charge at home. 80% of EV charging today is done at home. So imagine if you took the gas pump industry and said, well, we're now going to have people fill up 80% of the time at home. Right? All those gas pumps wouldn't be able to make money either. So The problem is that none of these things are making money.
That's right.
There's not a single charging company or these chargers that are making money anywhere. They're all relying on state and federal subsidies. Just a poor way to run a business or an industry.
Well, I'm going to tidy this little conversation up with you, and then we're going to go to break and keep you on because I have two other topics I want to talk about. One is the increase in really the use of hydrocarbons relative to the increase in wind and solar. It's just remarkable. I know Robert Bryce has put this out, and I know you have too in other places. But I mean, at the same time that the share of renewables has arguably increased, the truth is the amount of hydrocarbons that we're using is really gone up as well, because hydrocarbons are what is actually useful and what works. So we're going to talk about that. I also want to talk about this, eminent domain problem that we have when they want to put in clean lines. There's a lot of other electrical grid infrastructure that needs to be put in place, and it's not necessarily bringing wind and solar through massive clean lines all the way to the East Coast. That's just foolish. It's a total waste of money, but that's what they're doing as well. So we're going to take a short break here. We'll be right back with Steve Goreham. I want to talk about those two topics and then tidy up a little more.
Charlie Kirk says there should be more charges.
Now, let's be frank. This is not what Hunter Biden should be getting prosecuted for. We have to be very honest. Or it's not even remotely the only thing he's done wrong. In fact, that we know of. There are hundreds of crimes here. Foreign agent registration crimes, potential cyber privacy crimes.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I work for the New York City Fire Department. I've been using Balance of Nature for 8 years, I believe. It's been phenomenal. And I just got retired after 33 years. I work long hours, a lot of overtime. I teach at the Fire Academy. I run with the mornings. I work out all the time. And your product has been so successful for me in my regiment. I have nothing but high praise for you guys.
Splash into your summer with Balance of Nature summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first set. Don't miss out. This offer is only available while supplies last. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this limited time offer by using discount code Chicago.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hardworking military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Well, summer is upon us and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people and you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. ReliefFactor.com, 1-800-4RELIEF, 1-800-473-5433. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
For over 10 years, the award-winning KWCC Construction has been building a better future locally and throughout the Midwest, constructing with detailed planning and execution, completing projects safely, timely, and with transparency. If you've ever visited the Wilder Park Promenade along the Riverwalk in Aurora or driven past the recently revitalized Copley Hospital, you're looking at the quality construction of KWCC. Maybe you've seen the adaptive reuse of 80 South River Street in downtown Aurora, which now includes residences and businesses that have revitalized the area. No matter the project, KWCC Construction offers services from indoors to outdoors, conception to completion. In fact, KWCC was recognized as 2022's best project in landscape and urban development. Highly recommended. A general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. And we are still on with Steve Goreham. Again, he is my energy expert, my go-to guy when we talk about anything related to energy. He knows it all. He's written a number of books. He's been on a number of programs, much bigger programs than mine. But I do appreciate that he's willing to come on here and talk a little bit more about this. And why? Because he's an Illinoisan, and Illinois is practically ground zero for all the nonsense that's going on and when it comes to the green energy scam, as President Trump called it correctly in the debate. And so one of the big things is that in Illinois, they want to get rid of all hydrocarbon usage by 2035, 2040 timeframe, like none of it. Unless you're sequestering 100% of your CO2, we want no hydrocarbon usage in the state of Illinois. This is absolutely nonsense. In 2023, about 82% of our energy usage was hydrocarbons. About 13% was hydro, nuclear, or biomass, and only 6% was wind and solar. So, Steve, tell my audience, I mean, this is truth. This is reality. People need to hear it over and over again, that we're not going to get rid of hydrocarbons. They're not going to be replaced by wind and solar anytime soon. Correct?
Yeah, that really is. We've not seen that an indication that is going to occur yet, that transition. Over the last 20 years, the world has spent about $5 trillion on subsidies for mostly wind and solar, but other renewables as well. But for every year except 2020, when we had that big fall off in energy use and driving and everything else, even though wind and solar have been growing, they have never been able to supply the increase of the energy demand. Every year the world adds another roughly United Kingdom worth of energy consumption, goes up every year, and wind and solar and renewables have never been able to account for the total increase in a single year. So despite the fact that they're growing, hydrocarbons are still increasing, as you say, and they still remain something like 80% of our energy. So we're a long, long way from any kind of a proposed energy transition. And there's a big thing coming if we've got a few minutes. We're about to have a gap between electricity demand and electricity supply that's very, very big in the United States. And this is going to stop the green movement in its tracks.
So could you talk to me a little bit more about that? Because, again, in southern Illinois, where Ameren essentially went out in the last couple of years, and essentially they had briefings. They said, look, we could have rolling blackouts. We don't have enough power. Some of what you're doing with your the Illinois was specifically doing and shutting down coal plants and wanting to close off gas plants. They essentially said, look, this is not good. The grid needs this energy, and you can't supply it with wind and solar. And, and then really nothing happened. It didn't come to that point. And so they were able to weather the storm.
Let me talk about this coming shortfall. This is pretty important. So today, last year, the U.S. got 43% of our electricity from natural gas, 16% still from coal, a total of about 59%. The green energy movement wants to shut down all natural gas and coal. And by the way, the U.S. power demand, the amount of electricity we've demanded has been flat for the last 2 decades. But all of a sudden, we have a number of big demand drivers that are just hitting the grid. 3 of these are green. One is a proposed shift to electric vehicles. Everybody knows about that, which use a lot more electricity. A second is a push to replace gas appliances with electric. In places like New England, this shift will be bigger than the demand increase from vehicles, from EVs. A third is a green hydrogen industry that the government is trying to create. And to do that, they use electrolysis of water. They run electric current through water, produce hydrogen, huge user of electricity. But the bigger than all these 3, is this new demand for artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
And this just came on the scene about a year and a half ago when ChatGPT came out. But we now have the big guys, Microsoft and Amazon and Google, Alphabet, and others building these data centers, and they're upgrading current data centers. So the current data centers in the United States are mostly used for cloud storage and for running the internet, and they use 4% of our electricity. But when you upgrade these data centers to run this generative artificial intelligence, these data centers use 6 to 10 times more power. And so people are forecasting that the amount of power to be used is going to grow up to 20% of U.S. electricity within the next 10 years. And this is just clobbered the grid people. Here's a quote from Jason Shaw, chairman of Georgia Public Service Commission. He said, quote, "When you look at the numbers, it is staggering. It makes you scratch your head and wonder how we ended up in this situation. How were the projections that far off?" He means the demand projections. "This has created a challenge like we've never seen before. They just went to the Virginia utility and said, we need 2 gigawatts of new power." The big guys went. That's like 2 new nuclear plants. Texas was forecasting 85 gigawatts by 2030. They just upped that to 150 gigawatts by 2030.
Gosh.
They're going to have to double their electricity. There's just no way this is going to happen. There's no way we can retire our coal and gas plants, which is what the Green Movement wants to do, and meet all these demands. So,
well, in Illinois, that's
let you
really,
get a question in.
No, that's perilous for Illinois because J.B. Pritzker is doubling down, wanting more data centers here, wanting hydrogen plants here. I believe that they're even thinking of putting one right near Manteno, where they're building that massive Goshen EV battery plant, and they think that somehow is going to supply the electricity, but it's just going to eat up as much electricity as it produces.
Yeah, it is. There's no way they're going to be able to do this and shut down the power plants. So a couple things are going to happen.
Okay.
The first is they're going to stop shutting down coal and gas plants, and they're going to extend things like nuclear plants. We're seeing that with the Diablo Canyon plant in California, which has been being extended to 2030. They're restarting the Palisades nuclear plant in Michigan. In Utah, they've just decided to extend coal operating plants out to 2040. So that's number one. Number two is the big guys are going to get these big electrical contracts, Oracle and Amazon and Google, and everybody else's electricity rates are going to go up. And this is also bad news for charge stations, which are trying to break even. Cost of electricity is going to be higher.
Yep.
For heat pumps, which they want to substitute in for gas. So this is going to stop the green movement in its tracks, and you're going to see a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth. And your listeners should look for these articles talking about how artificial intelligence is going to impair the green movement and stop the energy transition.
Wow, that is such important information you just gave my listeners, and I'm going to take this clip and pass it around to all the state legislators who are doubling down on Pritzker's bad ideas. We need Trump to stop all this, but my fear is that all they do is they don't tell the public what's actually going on, and the public stays in the dark, and they see their electrical bill go up, and they don't understand why it's going up and where that electricity is going. And then they also, it's all just a big lie, too. It's 100% lie. I'm tired of being lied to by all the bureaucrats and all the politicians who think that they've convinced people that they have to get rid of fossil fuels or hydrocarbons. And in the meantime, on the backside, they're silently like, oh yeah, well, we're going to keep that going because we have to, because they know the truth. They won't tell people the truth. We get bad public policy and we spend trillions of dollars on garbage.
Yeah, I think I don't even know that the Biden administration understands this right now, what is about to hit them. Another example, Amazon just purchased a data center right next to a nuclear plant in Pennsylvania. Why'd they do that? Because they're going to run AI in this data center, and they need the power. And this is just going on. Matter of fact, Atlanta has now banned data centers in city limits, because they don't like these huge buildings. These things are acres in size.
Yep.
Because they don't have the power to power these things. So it's going to really be a big, big deal over the next year.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Steve Goreham, thank you so much. That was really valuable information. We'll be right back with Edgar County Watchdogs.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka wants you to get involved.
To win the election, we absolutely must. Everything is at stake. The planet as we know it, our democracy.
This is not your grandfather's, even your father's Democrat Party. It's lunatics, it's radicals, it's people who hate America, and we must save the nation from them. How? Get engaged.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Fox News, I'm Kathleen Maloney. The Supreme Court is expected to rule tomorrow on a claim by former President Trump that presidential immunity shields him from prosecution.
The Supreme Court heard arguments in April. Regardless of the ruling, the proceedings have diminished the possibility that Trump will stand trial on this case before the November election.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Hurricane Beryl poses a major threat to the Caribbean islands. Dr. Michael Brennan is director of the National Hurricane Center.
Extremely dangerous Category 4 Hurricane Beryl, moving quickly towards the Windward Islands, moving west-northwest at 18 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of around 130 miles per hour.
Life-threatening hazards are expected as Beryl moves through the Windward Islands. Catastrophic wind damage also forecast. America is listening to Fox News.
Honey, what are we going to do with your grandparents' old coins and jewelry?
I'm pretty sure they're worth some money.
You've been saying that for years.
Okay, how about PGS Gold and Coin? They're the best when it comes to selling family valuables.
And you know this because...
PGS, when it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Do that again.
PGS, when it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Isn't that the place Jeff sold his grandmother's jewelry when she passed?
Yep, he checked out pgsgoldandcoin.com and found tons of positive reviews. He was blown away by how much he got. Do you? Oh, you're already on the site.
Almost. pgsgoldandcoin.com.
PGS Gold and Coin, the upscale way of selling your coins, jewelry, diamonds, and collectibles. Family owned and operated for over 14 years. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, now with 4 Chicagoland locations. And they make house calls. 888-416-2701 or pgsgoldandcoin.com.
PGS. When it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to the show on demand when it's easiest for you. This includes every radio show, every segment, and every guest over the last 10 years, and it's commercial free. You can even share your favorite segments with your friends. Plus, you'll get the same email from Alan Estrin that I receive every night about the most important issues to read about. Pragertopia Unlimited members can also listen to every program, lecture, and course that is in the Prager store. Thousands of hours. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Share my passion for free speech. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. It's all things Prager. Pragertopia Unlimited. Go to pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
It's Reveille. Wall Street Journal editorial board member Gillian Melchior recently profiled Kala Walsh, a 20-year-old who she says is the figurehead for a group called Palestine Action US, an organization that promotes militant direct action, including vandalism and blockades, to show solidarity with Palestine. The group calls the response to the October 7th attack by Hamas a U.S. Zionist genocide of the Palestine people. Palestine Action is organized and dangerous. Their underground manual on how to protest urges supporters to dream up crazy ideas and remember that your action is to disrupt, damage, or destroy your target. The manual explains how to pick your target, recon the area, spray paint, smash windows, and block water and sewage pipes. It warns participants that wearing a face mask is key and cover your tracks. Walsh followed the manual, except she got caught. In 2023, Walsh and her gal pals were charged with multiple felonies, including rioting, sabotage, and attempted burglary for their actions taken against a defense company. The question is, who radicalized Walsh? She grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Her parents are both academics. Her first protest began at age 15 when she organized a climate strike. No doubt she had been fed a diet of climate alarmism and activism by her teachers. Walsh is a product of an education system run by the most progressive Democrats in our country. They miseducate kids on topics like climate change and fail to educate on topics like civics. We've seen this before. Kella Walsh is just Bill Ayers 50 years later, and the only question now is which university she will be teaching at in 10 years. Academic performance isn't the only problem. From kindergarten to postgraduate, it's time to take back our education system in America. I'm Jeannie Ives. Be informed. Listen to my radio show on this station Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Okay, thanks. All right. Welcome back. It's Jeannie, and it's time for the Edgar County Watchdogs. And, I talked to these, to John and Kirk, and they sent me this article. John sent it to me first, and it had to deal with Lincoln Way District 210 and their former superintendent. And I just wanted to, I wanted to puke after I read the article because I was infuriated because this is something that John and Kirk have been working on for almost a decade now. Almost a decade. A case that they've been watching, and they were the first to break the story on. Massive corruption is what they wrote. Lots of malfeasance in District 210. And the way that Lawrence Wiley, the former D210 superintendent, handled things. And in 2017, actually about that same time, I got involved as well. I got to know some of the residents down there. I heard their concerns. At that time, I was a state rep. It's so abusive to find out that these guys who have been sitting around and the board, who has not been checking on their superintendent, just allowed all the stuff to go on. But I mean, the guy got away with everything. But eventually he didn't. He had to resign from his superintendent. He, of course, starts out on his public pension, and then in 2017, the federal government starts to come in, and they start to investigate him, and they look at everything they did, and I guess it's estimated that he stole or he abused at least $7 million worth of taxpayer money, including misuse of bond funds. He set up his own sort of super dog training thing on using taxpayer money. He allegedly, I have to put that in there. He allegedly had the school district groundskeeper come over and do work at his place as well. I mean, there's just a number of causes. But this case has been going on and on and on. 2017, they start to get involved. Well, just this week, what comes out of it? Well, the acting U.S. Attorney Morris Pasquale filed a motion to dismiss the criminal charges, citing Wiley's medical condition and inability to assist in his defense. So Mr. Wiley's going to continue to collect his $351,000 pension. That's $31,985.04 monthly. He'll continue to collect that pension check, and he won't even be prosecuted or convicted. And I think it would have been likely that it would have been convicted from what I know about the charges. But none of that's going to happen because apparently he's too fragile to stand trial. It's sad. here to talk about that more is John and Kirk. Thank you for joining me on this program. This is really probably what we're going to talk about for the rest of this night, because it's way too important. There's so much going on in this case.
Well, thanks for having us, Jeannie. It's rather shocking, but we kind of expected it after several years. They kept continuing the trial date, for medical reasons. And I guess my question now is, are we going to see Mike Madigan pull the same stunt? Is he going to find a doctor that, was going to give him a medical diagnosis that he's unable to assist in his defense? It's just shocking. It really is. The taxpayers are literally taking a beating over this one. It's unbelievable. But there's a lot of lessons to learn from it. Mm-hmm. And that's the bigger part of this whole thing. Where do you start? The board members. Where was the oversight? When we looked at the board members, the board president himself had all kinds of financial problems, failure to pay his own taxes. He had liens against him. He had federal, state, and unemployment compensation liens. I think it was to the tune of, if I remember right, something around, $180,000 in IRS judgments against him. He was the school board president.
Right.
Well, why are we putting these people in these positions? Why are we not holding them accountable? And we never do. We saw that at College of DuPage. How come none of the trustees were ever held accountable for what happened at the College of DuPage?
No, never. And in fact, Bruder won that case. In the end, they settled out with him. The insurance company got tired of paying out for legal fees, and so he won that case. He walked away with, I want to say he walked away with maybe a couple million.
It was, the insurance settlement was $4 million, and who knows how much the attorneys got. But the private attorneys that were handling that case, they had spent $11 million in legal expenses.
Well,
this whole thing with District 210, they were $500 million in bond debt with approximately 7,500 students. Compare that to U46 that has over 40,000 students. They had about the same amount of bond debt. How does any school with 7,000 students, even 10,000 students, put themselves in $500 million of debt?
Well, because you've got a really weak school board and you've got a superintendent who's got grandiose ideas. I mean, this is all empire building. And then they get together with the consultant class, and they're like, oh, well, right. Boy, you guys are on the verge of, Will County. We're just expanding. There's going to be loads of students coming in here. You've got to build another high school. We need 4 high schools in Lincoln Way. We need 4, north, south, east, west. Let's do it all. Let's go out, get the bonding. And it's these consultants, too. They're just as much to fault. They come in with some bogus study saying that they're going to have population growth and you're going to need these schools, and we better get busy right now and do it. And let's go. Oh, and then the other lie, the other big one, interest rates are so low. Now's the time to borrow so we can get everything done. I've heard that one more than once.
Well, and some of the other really big lessons out of this, when people sought us out wanting our assistance, we ask them, have you talked to, your local reporters? Have you talked to the Sun Times? I mean, you guys are up north. We're, 3 hours away. Oh, they've tried. They can't get anybody to pay any attention. And we sat down with them. We went up to Schaumburg and met with them in a Starbucks, and they handed us, and these are smart people. These are citizens that have had enough. And they opened up these spreadsheets, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, you'd have to be an idiot not to see the problem. And we started writing about it. And it was probably 6 months later, everybody's writing about it, kind of like the Dalton thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it finally gets attention. But when we identified what we believed was criminal activity, we told them, you need to file a police report. Well, they tried. Local police says, oh, we don't look at those kind of crimes. That's not our job. That's the state's attorney. State's attorney said, that's not our job. That's law enforcement. We said, well, take it to the sheriff. Sheriff says the same thing. Oh, we don't look at that kind of stuff. And fortunately, a board member was a U.S. attorney. He was a prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's office. And he saw the problem. In fact, he questioned an auditor right in the middle of the auditor's presentation, right as he got started. And the response from the auditor should shock everybody. And I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to that
do.
or not.
I have that clip if we want to play it.
It's well worth it. It is shocking to hear what this guy admits to.
All right. Okay. Let's play that clip right now, and then we'll go to break.
Yes, we have with us this evening from NPS, Mr. Ed McCormick. Mr. McCormick.
Good evening. Before you, I believe you all have a copy of the audit report for June 30th of 2015. What I'd like to do is, it's about a 100-page report. I'm going to go through, hit the highlights as I've done in the past. If there's any questions as I'm going through it, please feel free to ask. But what I'd like to do is start with the financial section. And the beginning of the financial section is the independent auditor's report. And what this report is explaining to the readers of the financial statements is that, it's an audit for the year end of June 30th, 15, as I mentioned, that management's responsibility, and ultimately you as a board are at the highest level of management, is the preparation and fair presentation of these statements that, in accordance with modified cash basis of accounting, which are described in the footnotes, includes determining, that...
So let me stop you for a second. So the modified cash basis of accounting, how is it modified from the normal cash basis of accounting?
It includes capital assets and debt. True cash basis would just be cash in, cash out.
So capital assets, can you put that more in plain English? We're talking buildings, right?
Buildings, equipment.
Illiquid assets, things like that, yes?
Liquid assets are just cash.
I said illiquid.
Illiquid.
Right. All right. So apart from that, when we're talking about the cash basis, the system that we're operating under is money that comes in, we book it. Money that we spend, we book it. It's kind of like if I used my checkbook during the course of the year. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Thanks. By the way, that's not a generally accepted accounting principle in the United States, is it?
No, but it is a very common practice with school districts in the state of Illinois.
Well, there you go. So they don't even use accounting principles that they should be using.
They don't even use acceptable accounting practices, except here in Illinois.
Well, this is I was on a committee with GAP people, and I explained, and I actually gave my opinion of this too, in that we need to use standard accounting principles because people get away with this all the time. They're not well defined at all. They're not. They don't have to account for it in the same way that you would have to if you were a large corporation, and many of these people spend millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money, and it's not being accounted for in the same way.
Well, I think a lot of this could have been stopped if local law enforcement would have done their job when the people came to them.
Mm-hmm.
They ignored it. They pushed it off. The sheriff pushed it off.
Yeah, none of these states' attorneys want to handle white-collar crime like this. None of them want to go after a government entity. None of them want to do it. We saw it at COD. They just don't touch it. Hey, we got to go to break. We'll be right back.
Can peace of mind fit into just 3 fruits and 3 veggie supplements? Yes. We start by sourcing the best fruit and vegetable ingredients. We ensure that all our produce meets our rigorous standards in order to give you the highest quality product possible. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum-cooled process that removes the water using pressure. We then take great care in grinding them into a fine powder. These powdered ingredients are then mixed and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped right to your door so you can experience your own personal Balance of Nature success story.
I've looked at other supplements out there, and they don't have what Balance of Nature has.
Balance of Nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Splash into your summer with our summer savings. Go to balanceofnature.com and get 50% off your first set as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
The American military brings together brave men and women from across the country who have chosen to answer the call when their country needs them most. At aviatorfuel.com, we know the military because we live the military life. With books written by a Navy pilot and run by a hard-working military spouse, aviatorfuel.com is proud of our service and our country. That's why we never compromise on authenticity. Our cocktail books are modeled off the real Army, Navy, and Marine pilot checklists that military aviators have used for decades. But instead of a procedure on how to handle an engine fire, you'll find the procedure for how to make a mojito. From classic recipes to military specials like the Queen of Battle or the Afterburner, Our cocktail books have something special for every veteran. So go to aviatorfuel.com and get ready to raise a glass to the brave men and women who serve our country. That's aviatorfuel.com.
Finding the right dentist for you and your family, one that you can build trust and confidence in and develop a long-term relationship with, can be difficult. If consistency in your dental care done in a compassionate and caring environment is important to you, then here's someone you should meet.
Hi, I'm Dr. Phil Fidgel of Broadway Family Dental Group. We've been blessed to care for generations of families and make building strong relationships with our patients a priority. Kids I treated early on in my practice now bring their own kids in. My partner, Dr. Michelle Nebelsberger, Dr. K as she's known in the office, started as a patient when she was 3. It's our goal to create a dental home where we can improve and then maintain your oral health, contributing to your overall health. This is my personal invitation to join us, kids, adults, and seniors. We have all the services and technologies, but most importantly, we have good people who want to take good care of you.
Broadway Family Dental Group, 847-824-5252. 847-824-5252.
Now, more of The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
All right, welcome back. Let's get right to it. Hey, John, you had quite a few tidbits that make this story even more complicated, and I guess there was a lot going on, right? It wasn't just Wiley. There was a number of people that were just not doing things by the books.
Well, the assistant superintendent, Sawin, I think Ron might have been his first name, Sawin, they forced him into 2-year early retirement and bought him out with the promise in his agreement that the board would not seek or file charges or any termination or disciplinary measures against him based on any acts which occurred prior to the agreement. So, the board just let the assistant superintendent go and didn't do anything about it. They were letting the head football coach rent the house right next door to the high school, which cost the district more money per month to maintain than he was actually paying in rent, because they paid his electric, gas, water, paid somebody to mow the grass, do the snow removal and everything else. And then they tried telling us, they weren't renting it, but they were. And then that forced them to have to pay property taxes on the property because it wasn't for a public purpose. And then when residents started questioning, they tried to claim that the house was unlivable.
Golly, like it's one thing after another here.
We could go on for hours.
Yeah, no, you could. You've written about it for hours. I mean, you've got multiple stories just about D210 and their malfeasance.
Secretary pled guilty to $40,000 in theft. I mean,
I saw that story. Yep.
The high school assistant principal got a DUI, lied about it, and then when we wrote about it, after we got the police reports, he quit.
Okay, so wait a second. I'm reading your article here. That basically the coach paid about $275 a month for rent.
Yeah.
Yep.
$275 a month for rent for a full house.
And all utilities included, including yard maintenance.
The hell. And the taxpayers picked up the difference. Did they tack that on to his W-2?
Probably not.
Probably not. Of course not. Screw over the federal taxpayers too, by the way.
Look at pictures on Zillow. It's got nice oak floors, hardwood cabinets, and wood trim around the place. And then they tried to say it was unlivable.
I wonder if this is the football coach. We lost the semifinals in 2014 when my son was playing one of the Lincoln Way schools. And we're the same coach. Oh, well.
Coach Ernst? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either, but I digress.
And then they gave a for-profit child daycare free rent in the school.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, they had their own child care service there in school, and
they turn around and make those teachers pay exorbitant amounts to have daycare there for their kids.
And let's not forget, even in 2022, it's not like this stuff, they learned their lesson. In 22, one of their secretaries pled guilty and pays $40,000 as part of a plea deal. The malpractice hasn't stopped. It continues.
Well, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I imagine the residents, and they were raising hell. And I don't have time to play this clip. They were raising hell. They were there all the time, but you get weary about it. And then you think like the biggest actors have like gone away. And the truth is that the system never seems to get fixed completely because we don't have enough tight controls.
And then you got to think about this. You have several schools. You have to close one. Which one do you close? Oh, the brand new one. Let's close the brand new one that we have all the bonds on. And bus everybody over to the old decrepit buildings.
Yeah, that was a big argument too, because people had already bought into where that new high school was going to be, and the residents weren't happy. Anytime you redistrict, they're never happy. That was a big problem too. But yeah, they built 4 high schools and they didn't need them.
Yeah,
correct.
Yep, they did. And Wiley, Mr. U.S. Army too. Oh yeah, he was a veteran. Really kind of lacking that duty honor country, in my opinion. Hey guys, we're gonna take a break because I want to get to Chuck from Wheaton. He has he actually used to live there and he has something to add. So I don't know if you want to hang on and listen to that call or not.
You bet.
Okay,
hang on.
All right, hang on.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
You're listening to The Real Story with your host, Jeannie Ives.
Okay, this is going to be quick. Chuck, we've only got about 2 minutes. So, Chuck, tell us what you got.
Hi, Jeannie. Great show tonight, as always. Yes, we lived in Frankfort in the D210 school district from 1997 to 2008. And I remember very clearly when Wiley was pushing building 2 more schools. They said there'd be a projection for 10,000 students. Well, last year there were 6,700 students. And as was mentioned, the North School was shut down. It was only 8 years service. They spent $225 million for 2 new schools. And the taxpayer groups were pushing back. And we kept saying, why build 2? They said, well, it's cheaper, it's more economical to build 2. Well, run the numbers. We said build 1 and see if the projections happen. Well, of course they didn't. So now they shut down one of the 2 schools and set Lincoln Way Central is the oldest school, and that's the one that's still running along with West and Lincoln Way East. It was a tragedy, and they just didn't want to listen to taxpayers. And of course, the claim was, if you weren't for 2 schools, you don't support kids. And
of course,
the pushback by the school district was supported by Henry Brothers, who was the contractor that built the schools, and the architects. They didn't listen to the taxpayers.
Okay, Chuck, thank you so much for that call. Okay, I only have 20 seconds left. John and Kirk, I want to thank you so much for joining me and bringing this story to light and being pit bulls on this. And by the way, District 200 in Wheaton, they're looking at teeing up another massive referendum for the fall. Vote no. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Hi, this is Maria and Diane with the Delbacchio Marchetti Group of App Properties Christie's International. We wanted to tell you why we placed number 9 in Illinois as the top producing real estate team and number 1 in Arlington Heights.
In the past 9 years, we assisted 1,975 buyers and sellers achieve the American dream of home ownership, selling $720 million in real estate.
If you are considering making a move, we can help you get the most value for your home in today's market.
Maria and I have over 50 years of combined experience. We take a conservative approach in protecting your asset and will give you the direction and professional advice needed to achieve a successful transaction.
Our pledge to you is to have your best interest at heart. So get the special attention you deserve with our white glove service from our city division to the suburbs.
Contact us for a free, no-obligation market analysis at thedmregroup.com. That's thedmregroup.com.
Information verification, MRED LLC, 2013 to 2022. Real Trends Large Teams, 2022.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
White House says nothing to see here. I'm Jack Callahan, Fox News, denying claims that President Biden will be discussing the future of his re-election campaign with family members as they meet today at Camp David.
NBC reporting per a source familiar with the discussions, they, referring to Democrats, believe only the president, in consultation with his family, can decide whether to move forward or to end his campaign early. The decision makers are two people. It's the president and his wife. A White House official saying the president's trip to Camp David was public in their guidance before the debate, that it's been on the schedule for weeks. A Biden campaign spokesperson adding, as we've said many times, and the president has said himself, he's absolutely staying in the race.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. A teenage boy is dead after a confrontation with police. Fox's Chanley Painter reports.
An officer-involved shooting left a teenager dead in New York. Police say they stopped two boys in Utica when one showed what looked like a gun. A foot chase ensued and the boy was shot and killed after a struggle. The gun turned out to be a replica Glock. New York's Attorney General will decide if the shooting was justified.
The Utica Police Department has released body camera footage of the incident. A wildfire is burning northeast of Phoenix. It's already charred nearly 6 square miles near Scottsdale, Arizona. Scores of homes are threatened. Dozens of residents have been forced to evacuate. Nearly 300 firefighters are battling the fire in full turnout gear near 100-degree weather. A spokesman says wind gusts are predicted. Authorities in New York State have charged 2 people from Long Island with selling thousands of dollars worth of illegal elephant ivory through online auctions. Prosecutors say the pair advertised and sold ivory carvings. They evaded detection by advertising their products as rare material until investigators say they sold ivory to undercover state agents. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Skies will be clear overnight. We're going down to 56. Monday's a mostly sunny, beautiful day with a high in the middle 70s. Clouds and sunshine Tuesday, breezy, much warmer, highs in the upper 80s. Clouds and sunshine Wednesday with a stray thunderstorm. It'll be humid with highs in the upper 80s again. I'm Rose Tamburino on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Mike Gallagher sees good numbers for Trump.
The Real Clear Politics average of polling says it may even be a landslide. And I don't know if we dare use the L word this far out, but my gosh, because everything is pointing towards a Trump victory if Joe Biden is his opponent.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, summer is upon us and the weather is beautiful. Everyone has a favorite outdoor activity: golf, bike riding, bird watching, long walks. Ask 100 people and you'll get 100 answers. But if everyday aches and pains are keeping you on the sidelines, I have one answer: Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. Wherever you're hurting, back, neck, joints or muscles, in 3 weeks or less, you'll start to feel the difference all day, every day. So whatever you like to do, swimming, pickleball, hanging out in the garden, Relief Factor can help you feel good again and let you enjoy all your favorite outdoor activities all summer long. ReliefFactor.com, 1-800-4RELIEF, 1-800-473-5433. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Attention parents, your child may be eligible for extra food benefits this summer, but time is running out to apply. The new summer EBT program, also known as Sunbucks, will provide $120 per eligible child for families to buy groceries. Families must apply by August 31st, and benefits must be used within 3 months of issuance. You can use your summer EBT benefits at any SNAP-authorized retailer, including farmers markets. Learn more at WeGotYouIllinois.org. Some children in foster care and children participating in SNAP, Medicaid, or cash assistance will be automatically enrolled in summer EBT. Other families will need to complete an application. Don't miss out on these important benefits from this new program in Illinois. To learn if your child qualifies for summer EBT and if you need to complete an application by the August 31st deadline, please visit WeGotYouIllinois.org. That's WeGotYouIllinois.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Commission to End Hunger. Aired in cooperation with this station and the Illinois Broadcasters Association.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer. The following is a pre-recorded program.
Welcome to the Center Square Radio Hour for the final weekend of June 2024. I'm your host, Chris Krug. The Center Square and the Radio Hour are projects of the Franklin News Foundation, a 501c3 independent nonprofit, nonpartisan news service. Established in 2019, the Center Square Newswire publishes original taxpayer-centric straight news that focuses on the size, scope, and effectiveness of local, state, and federal government. On the Center Square Radio Hour, our journalists explore their top stories, adding insights to the headlines. We'll also present thoughts on the economy from Dr. Orphe Dimungi, PhD economist, and bring you the latest in K-12 education news from our Franklin News Foundation's Chalkboard News team. Today, we'll look at the separate rulings against President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. We'll hear about the Center Square's reporting on the latest cities to promise millions of taxpayer dollars for stadium updates, and we'll recap our coverage from Thursday night's presidential debate. We'll be right back with all that and more in the Center Square Radio Hour.
Are you tired of news that puts politics over people? At the nonprofit Franklin News Foundation, we believe in putting people over politics by delivering nonpartisan news and audio content that serves you, the American taxpayer. With Franklin News Foundation, you can read fact-based, state-focused news for free at thecentersquare.com. You can listen to civil, balanced conversations between policy experts through our podcast network at americastalking.com. Or you can get in-depth news on K-12 education spending, curriculum, and school safety at chalkboardnews.com. It's all free through Franklin, where we put you, the American taxpayer, first in every story, episode, and conversation. And it's only possible through our supporters. Together, we can produce content that puts people over politics and brings Americans the news they deserve. Become a supporter today at franklinnews.org/donate. Once again, that's franklinnews.org/donate.
Welcome back to the Center Square Radio Hour. I'm Chris Krug. With more on the judicial decisions against President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan is our Dan McCaleb. 2 federal judges this week ruled to block part of President Joe Biden's recent attempt to indefinitely postpone or cancel nearly $500 billion in student loan debt. It would be just the latest ruling against Biden's student loan cancellation policies. Joining me to discuss this is Casey Harper, the Center Square's Washington, D.C. bureau chief. Casey, you wrote about these 2 federal judges' decisions this week. Tell us more.
When it comes to forgiving student loan debt, Biden is the little engine that could, right? He is really trying it one way or the other, this way or that. He has been smacked down by the U.S. Supreme Court pretty famously with national attention when they ruled that his last attempt to just cancel student loan debt at such a broad scale, they said was, he went too far because he tried to take a small provision in a bill and expand it, basically change the meaning of it to forgive student loans all around the country. And now this time around, he's been stopped once again, as you said, by 2 separate judges who, for different reasons, basically put this plan on hold. And this is no small amount of money. It'd be almost, $500 billion
right,
that would be canceled. And that word canceled is interesting, Dan. I mean, we know it's really not necessarily the most accurate way to talk about this because that cost is really just transferred onto taxpayers as a whole, right? That money doesn't just disappear. It's somebody has to either not receive that payment or make that payment, and it is the U.S. taxpayers, right? And that's kind of the point. Besides the question of does the president have this authority, that is the consistent argument that the Biden administration is running up against. And the criticism is that, regular Americans are paying the debt of college students who oftentimes have better paying jobs because they went to college, right? So the welder, the truck driver, the machinist is paying the college debt for the communications major who works in a PR job in New York now.
The doctor.
Mm-hmm, exactly. Yeah, lawyers and doctors, studies have shown, stand to benefit the most from these plans, actually. And so, of course, student loan debt is a huge problem in this country. The debt is overwhelming. There's a lot of questions about the cost of tuition, how inflated that is by these universities, which have huge endowments and then just run up these tuitions every year. I think there's a lot of good questions that should be asked and looked into. But as for President Biden himself trying to single-handedly, quote unquote, solve this problem, he's once again being slapped down in the courts. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to really get anything substantive through.